the fate.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me when you'll cement this.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, I'm joined by my partner in film, Devin, and today we're going to be giving our spoiler-free thoughts, our insights, our comments, our questions, our concerns about Joker 2, aka Joker Folie Adieu. That was like the first time I actually spoke like fluent French. I'm very...
Yeah, you're learning the language.
I know. Look at me. Like, oh.
Don't know what it means, but...
Well, adieu, I think, at least from what I remember, it's like a goodbye type situation. I'm not sure what folie means, though. But yeah, I felt a little French there for a second.
The film's working title is Folie Adieu, which means Madness of Two in French.
Really? Okay, so I was way off. Madness of Two. I don't know. Why didn't they just name it that? I feel like, I don't know. I like Folie Adieu, but I feel like it's just like a tad too pretentious for what it's trying to portray here.
Just a tad.
Not that it's a bad thing. It's just an observation. But before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at Film Optix, all that social media garbage. Optix with an X, by the way. Or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com. And you can also send us a text message by looking through the episode notes of this episode as well as our other episodes. It's literally like the first line of the episode notes. If you go into like more details, it says, send us a text message. And you can send us a text message, ask us any questions. We'll give you banking information, blood type, social security, all that jazz. Anything for our wonderful listeners.
French lessons from
Devin. You can get the pronunciation from me and then the meaning from Devin. So this is like a two teacher type of situation.
It's Folie Adieu.
Folie Adieu. Yeah, absolutely. But Devin, what's going on, man? I feel like, when was the last episode we recorded? It hasn't been. Oh, the Wild Robot.
Yeah, Wild Robot. That was last Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah. Technically last month. Yeah, on September 30th, 2024. Yeah. How you been? What's going on? Have you been watching anything new? I know I have, but I want to hear from you.
I mean, you already know I'm watching the new Love Is Blind that just drops.
It just dropped today. I thought that was. Oh, that's this weekend.
It dropped yesterday.
Oh, I gotta watch it. Sorry, continue.
I think it's the first like 7 episodes.
7 episodes? Really? They're not doing weekly.
Well, they're doing like the last few are going to be weekly.
Oh boy. Oh man.
I was going to say last night I also watched a couple of other Netflix movies that came out. The Platform 2, which is a Spanish language horror film. It was pretty good. The first one was very interesting, so it's cool that got a sequel.
Oh, there's the Platform 1?
Yeah,
I thought it was just called Platform 2, like I didn't realize that was like an
I guess that could be a title, but yeah, it is a sequel. So that was pretty good. And then I sent you the one I watched called It's What's Inside. That one was wild. I really liked that one. It's kind of like it was kind of like Bodies, but they actually switch bodies at the party they're at. It was like really, really entertaining.
Oh, say no more. I'm there. So I'm glad that you're diving into the Netflix verse. I feel like you watch more Netflix movies than I do. Like I will watch them, but it's like, yeah, I've been bouncing between like 3 or 4 shows right now. I finished season 1 of Yellow Jackets. Devin. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to start season 2. I am like, whew, it's good. It is really good. If I were to, I guess, give season 1 a score, it would be like 8 out of 10 or like 80 out of 100. It is almost like, it's kind of like modern day Lord of the Flies almost, but there's like a dual timeline running where it jumps between past and present, but it's both timelines moving forward at the same time. So it's not like it's, there's the past and the present, but it's interesting how they cut it, because it's not like you can just watch the past and get all of the information. You have to it's pretty interesting, and I definitely did enjoy it.
Yeah, I always heard good things, so I might as well. Now that's on Netflix and not cast away on Showtime.
Well, season 1 is on Netflix. I just want to let everyone know that you can watch season 1 of Yellow Jackets on Netflix. If you want to watch season 2, you got to sign up for Paramount Plus on Showtime, or via that whole weird thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's how they get you. They're giving you a little taste, and they're like, hey, there is a season 3 coming out. So if you want to watch, if you want to get caught up, it's kind of annoying because now it's like, okay, everyone, at least that I know for the most part, has Netflix. So you'll be able to watch season 1, no questions asked. But season 2, they're like, oh, you got to, it's weird. Showtime doesn't have like their own thing, I think. I don't know. I have to find out, and I'll let you know, because at first I was like, okay, like this is good, and then like it progressively just got better, at least in my eyes, and a lot of great acting, and the story is pretty interesting as well. So it's like, okay, this is interesting. It's Devin, talk about a penultimate episode. Wow. But I don't want to overhype it too much. So, but definitely start giving it a watch. But outside of Yellow Jackets, I know like season 1 came out in like 2021. So we're like 3 years late to the party. But, the series is still ongoing. Outside of watching The Penguin every week and also Agatha, great episode this week. We got a nice little, another musical number to add to the Spotify playlist. But outside of Agatha and Penguin, I took a bit of a detour because I started Industry season 2. I'm halfway through that. So I think I'm going to try to finish that up this weekend, because that thing only have like 4 more episodes. But outside of that, season 3 of The Legend of Vox Machina just dropped. So I got to start watching that. I also need to catch up on Lord of the Rings season 2. But there's just so much to watch. There's so much to play as well. What have you been playing video game wise?
I picked up the new Dead Rising deluxe remaster. That was a fun one. I think I might start up Resident Evil 7 because I never played it, and it's spooky season, so might as well get in the spirit. I heard that one's probably the scariest one.
Yeah, so I heard good things about Resident Evil 7. I still need to play 2, 3, and 4. I think I'm just gonna start with 4. Because I feel like that's more my speed.
4 is just one of the best games ever made.
Yeah, I think that's more my speed. So I'm definitely going to try to start playing that. I've just been so gosh darn busy. It's like, I feel like I don't have time to play any video games. This really sucks. But there's going to be a time where, this month, hopefully, where I can just sit back and start playing, because I did start Dead Space, because I do want to get through that first, because I feel like that game's not very long. You played it, right?
I don't think I beat it. I have to go back to it.
Yeah, that's scary. That as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, God, there's so much media to consume, whether it's TV shows, especially movies. There's a lot of movies coming out, man. I don't know how we're going to survive. Video games, TV shows, like it is a season for it, but this year feels like too much. It feels like 2 years ago where there was just like everything was out, and it's like you're shocked with the amount of too many options to watch and play things. You know what I mean? Like we're entering like our winter arc when it comes to, tis the season, I guess, to stay.
We're in the busy season, that's for sure.
Yeah, it really is. It's just crazy altogether. But yeah, I know we've been not talking about Joker for the past 10, 11 minutes, but we're going to get into our spoiler-free review of Joker Folie à Deux here. So without further delay. We'll be right back after this introduction to Joker, Folie, Adieu.
2 years ago, the name Arthur Fleck hit Gotham like a hurricane.
The trial of the century.
They believe Arthur Fleck to be some kind of martyr. Well, he's not. There's a monster.
When you're smiling, when you're smiling,
When I first saw Joker, when I saw you,
the whole world smiles with you.
for once in my life, I didn't feel so alone anymore.
When you're laughing, oh, when you're laughing, the sun comes shining through. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me.
How about you, Arthur? Do you still think you're a star?
Showtime.
And we are back with our Joker 2 review. I'm just going to call it Joker 2 for the rest of...
Joker do.
Joker, adieu. Joker, adieu. There we go. I bid adieu to you. So, yeah, we're going to call it Joker 2 for the rest of this review because... Yeah, it's as much as I am very proud of myself for pronouncing that on the first try, by the way. Yeah, Joker 2 is just easier for everyone, but I think the title is just going to be the actual title of the movie. Maybe put in parentheses, aka Joker 2. So this film is directed by Todd Phillips, who directed the first Joker, and is written by Scott Silver, Todd Phillips himself, and of course Bob Kane, and stars Joaquin Phoenix, Lady Gaga, and Brendan Gleeson, just to name a few. There's a few surprises in this movie. A certain person shows up that I didn't think was going to show up. Because they confirmed that they were not a part of this project, and they are a part of this project. And it was very nice to see said person. And I'm not going to say if it's a guy or a girl. And the story is as follows. Arthur Fleck is institutionalized at Arkham, awaiting trial for his crime as Joker. While struggling with his dual identity, Arthur not only stumbles upon true love, but also finds the music that has always been inside him. That's interesting because he doesn't sing in the first movie. Well, he does dance. So maybe the music was inside of him the entire time. But Devin, lay it on me. What are your thoughts, your opinions, your comments, your questions, your concerns of Joker 2?
Yeah, going into this one, I know the original Joker was just a huge surprise hit. I don't think anyone expected it to do that well, or be that kind of culturally like relevant, and just took the world by storm to a degree, because it was just kind of an origin story for Joker, which is something we've never really seen before portrayed in media. So I think it was a very interesting take on the character and what went into his mindset and what made him become the Joker, and just kind of the downfalls of mental health as a society and everything like that. So going into this one, I think people were kind of surprised that it got a sequel because it just felt like such a standalone film. But then once it made $1 billion, it was like, all right, I guess they're going to have to try to force a sequel out because it made $1 billion. So that's kind of what you have to do. So going into this one, I know people have been kind of not sure what to expect. And then the reviews started coming out and it was not looking great. It just seemed to be shrinking like by the day, like ever since the early reviews started coming out. It's currently at a 32% on the tomato meter and the popcorn meter, like the exact same number, which is very, very rare. Like I told you, like it almost never happens that the audience and the critics agree on a movie. It's just not a thing that happens. And for that to be the exact same number, I don't know how that happened. It feels like It was like fate or something, like for it to be the exact same. 245 critic reviews, over 1,000 audience reviews, and it's the same exact number. It's just weird. I don't know. But yeah, the movie itself, it just didn't really do anything for me. Like I just kind of felt nothing while I was watching it. I feel like the story is pretty bland. Like we don't really do much throughout the movie. Like you mentioned, Arthur is still institutionalized at Arkham, and that's where most of the movie takes place. Like we never really leave Arkham except for when we go to the courthouse for his trial and whatnot. But we never really escape into the outer Gotham world, which is where in the first movie things really got interesting and the exciting parts happened. But we never really got any of that in this movie. And as far as the musical elements, they were obviously afraid to market it or sell the movie as a musical, because a lot of general audiences don't like going to see musicals. So they're trying to hide that it was a musical in the first place, which is a thing we've seen a lot lately from different movies that don't really have an identity. I think it definitely suffers from that because I definitely wouldn't call it a musical. It definitely has the musical elements, obviously, but I don't think the music really adds much to the movie, because it's not like they're original songs or anything. They're just kind of existing songs taken and kind of put into context of the movie in some ways, but some ways it just feels like they're randomly put in. It doesn't really add much to the actual plot of the story or what the characters are going through. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it just doesn't feel like it's doing much. And the singing itself, it's kind of strange. It just takes you out of the movie. I feel like it just feels like every scene at the end of you can kind of guess at the end of every scene there's going to be like a random song put in. That's what it feels like. And even towards the end, Arthur himself is like, hey, can you stop singing? Like, I just want to talk. It's like, oh, Arthur feels like how the audience feels. Like, that's crazy. But Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. Interesting that they named her Lee throughout the movie.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. Just call her Harley. Like, that's who she is.
Yeah, obviously, Lady Gaga has one of the best voices of anyone in existence. And apparently, during interviews, I saw that she basically tried to unlearn how to sing for this role, which was interesting, because she definitely didn't sound great in a lot of the songs, because she wanted to sound more like a normal person, I guess, because Harley Quinn's not a known singer or anything, so it makes sense to do that. But it's just weird hearing
Lady
how
Gaga
awkward
like
her trying to sound bad. It's still better than any of us, but
yeah,
you can definitely tell that her Lady Gaga is still in there, because there's some moments where it does sound really good.
You can hear it. Yeah, you can definitely hear it. There's like that choir part, like during when Joker first meets Harley. It's like you can hear her voice sticking out out of everyone else's.
Yeah, it just feels like the songs are just out of place. And like I said, they're not original songs made for the movie, so it doesn't really fit with the plot of the movie for the most part. And we're not really, it's just, I don't know, there's just not, I feel like the last hour of the movie I was just kind of waiting for it to be over, because there really wasn't a lot happening. Like there was the trial scene, which had some interesting moments, specifically when Mr. Puddles walks on in. I think that might have been my favorite part of the movie. It was funny at first, but then it actually became pretty compelling and interesting as the conversation went on. But other than that, I felt like it didn't really go anywhere. It felt like just making a sequel just to make a sequel, which for the most part, you can kind of just tell that's true, because I don't think anyone expected to make a sequel for that first one, because no one expected it to make $1 billion. So it just feels like Todd Phillips got his check, made a movie, and then he's on with the rest of his life, because he did confirm that he no longer will be working with DC after this.
Yeah, it's kind of like he just said, okay, I'm done. I told this Joker story, and then just, said I do all together. But Devin, I need you to be a little bit more upbeat. Come on, get happy. Get ready for the Judgment Day.
There are some interesting songs in there. Definitely some good ones, some classics.
There definitely was. And I am mixed on this movie, because I acknowledge the poor performance. I do not think it was as bad as what people are letting on, but it is still not my favorite film of the year. I think because I really wanted to like this movie because I love the first Joker. I wasn't able to rewatch the first one before seeing this, but I feel like they really could have just leaned into it being a musical with Harley Quinn and Joker, because they're always doing something wacky and crazy anyway. So it's like it being a musical, even though Todd Phillips said it wasn't a musical, like it being a musical makes sense. Like they could have carefully crafted this story better than the final product of what we had. Because I do agree the songs don't make sense. Although there were some Bee Gees playing in there. I was very happy about that. But the songs themselves are not, it's like when we watched Wonka. Like those songs were like, it was the theme and it was related to what was happening in the moment.
And the original songs, which definitely helps.
Right. Yeah. So there's no original songs, and that's fine. But yeah, it's like those songs were not related to what were going on. And maybe they were. I just wasn't as familiar with a lot of the songs that were happening. I love the musical bits where, the production value was there. You get that amazing, like, I think it was like the low cello, like classic, like Joker scores in there. But yeah, I really wanted to like this film, but it fell flat for me, especially towards the very end. I was like, okay, so what was the point of all of this then? Like the entire movie after that happening, I was like, so what is this?
It kind of just erases the first movie.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, no one knows who the Joker is. No one knows the identity of the Joker. It's always remained a mystery. And I'm not trying to get like comic booky here, but like that's just a part of the Joker's character. And I was wondering for Harley's character, for Lady Gaga, I think she did a fantastic job. Joaquin Phoenix is no stranger to singing either. If you've seen him in Walk the Line, he does a phenomenal job in that movie. But there was something missing because you spend a lot of time in Arkham and you find out what Harley is up to when she first meets the Joker. It's, I guess, without giving spoilers away, it's kind of like how, like a mega fan is meeting one of their idols for the first time and they're trying
to carefully... the meet cute.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the meet cute kind of situation. I think this film, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because I know a lot of people didn't like Joker 1 because they said it just mimicked the themes and the premise of Taxi Driver. But I feel like if you didn't like Joker 1, you might actually like Joker 2, given the events that unfold dealing with Arthur Fleck's character, because he is on trial for killing 5 people in the first film, which I guess you could argue or at least make the case that Joker 1 glorifies those killings and just the character itself. And I was like, I don't think it glorifies. I think this is not the actual Joker that faces Batman. Like that is just, I think that is more apparent, but all of the musical elements or the musical scenes, none of those are real. Those are just figments of Joker's imagination. And they make that very apparent in the movie when he's first singing. And then like this whole scene happens and then it's like, it reminds you, oh, like that's just in his head. But there are also a lot of, now that I'm thinking about it, there were a lot of scenes in the first Joker movie where it's like, okay, was this real or was this in his head?
Yeah, there's a lot of blurred lines in the second one as well, where there are some scenes where you can tell that it's not real, that it's a dream sequence, but then there's others where it feels like it shouldn't be real, but you don't really know if it is real or not.
And I think another movie that does a better job of the ambiguity is Never Let Go with Halle Berry. I think you went to go see that as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that within that film, there's a lot of ambiguity when it comes to mental health and schizophrenia, things of that nature, where you don't really know if, things in the woods that happen and Never Let Go actually happened, but they do drop a lot of visual storytelling, a lot of hints where it's like, it could be, it could not be. I think that's just up to the audience's interpretation. But going back to Joker 2, it's like, I don't know. There's not a lot of interpretation here because you know what's real and what's fantasy. And I think the performances were great. The guards, being chummy with Arthur, but then when Arthur gets a little bit too chummy with the guards, they start to lash back and say, hey, don't forget who's in control here. Don't forget who holds a trump card. Like, you're here in Arkham because of, what you did. We hold all the power. But there's also another scene in this movie I actually had to confirm. And I think they did a good job of assuming what happens without actually showing too much. Because number one, that's not what the movie's about. But number two, I didn't think they were actually going to go there. If you know what the bathroom scene.
Yeah, the ending of the movie is just, it's so vague and it's like there's no real message and it just feels like.
Yeah, the movie literally, it just ends. And that scene at the very end where it's like, okay, was that all just a setup or not? Or was it just like a coincidence type of thing? So it's
and then at the very end, I haven't really seen many people talk about it, but
that one thing,
there might be a connection to a past movie.
Yeah.
And
I know
if that's what it is, that is just so awful. Like, there's no way they could even try to do that.
And it's not like this is a Joker origin story. It's just a standalone. I like how it's standalone. Bruce was in the first one as baby Bruce, kid Bruce, and his father. But they do not make appearances in this movie at all. I'm just saying that right now. That's not a spoiler. That's just, they're not in this movie. Because like Devin said, most of the movie takes place in Arkham. And then you're pretty much going between Arkham and the courthouse. But there was also a few other characters in this film where it was like if anyone's watched The Industry, the TV show, there was a little bit of an industry reunion.
Yes, the most random crossover possible. Two characters that don't even interact much in The Industry, which is interesting. But then they interact directly in here.
Yeah, and I thought that was really awesome. Harry Lottie, who plays Harvey Dent, he is in Industry, as well as
Ken Leung, who plays Dr. Victor Liu. Ken Leung, that's it. Yeah, and he's also in Industry. I was like, oh, they exchange a few lines. I was like, I think they shared more scenes in Joker 2 than they probably have.
Yeah, in Industry. I was like,
they're in separate rows separate aisles of the office there.
Yeah. But it's funny because when I saw Harvey Dent, I was like, he looks familiar. I'm like, oh my God, it's he's from The Industry. And then I recognized the other guy right away. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. But I digress. But for all this, I'm being a little bit long-winded here and I do apologize. It's just, I don't know. It's a mixed bag for me because I thought the acting was great. I liked how, Joker and Harley kind of just meet, but there's things that happen with their relationship where things kind of start fizzling out and then that's it. And it's like, okay, so why was Harley a part of this movie?
Yeah, she doesn't have a whole lot to do. I mean,
Right.
she's singing songs poorly, and then her character is kind of a lot of lying from her character just to kind of get to the Joker. Mm-hmm. But then she doesn't really do anything that it could just be any like any named character. Like there's nothing Harley Quinn about her.
Yeah, I feel like they could have plopped anyone. It could have just been any character, but it would not have really changed the story that much. Just like one little no, I don't think it would have changed the story as much because he becomes infatuated with her. But it's like, okay, if it wasn't Harley, it could have just been anyone else because it's Harley Quinn and the Joker, but they don't have the same relationship as like Harley Quinn and the Joker does in the original Suicide Squad film. Where
I don't even want to think about that one.
But like, it's kind of crazy to think about how that relationship in that movie was built upon better and in a more structured way than here in this film, which is really weird to think about. But I mean, there's good parts about, you could pick apart some good aspects of that movie, even though it's not my favorite at all because, we got the Suicide Squad out there. But just from a Joker Harley perspective, I feel like their relationship, it's weird because it's like the relationship in Suicide Squad, it wasn't as organic, but they shared a lot of scenes together.
If I never saw that Joker again in my life, I would be completely happy. The Jared Leto Joker. I just want him erased from my brain.
I agree. I'm just talking from like a relationship standpoint between Harley Quinn and Joker.
It helps that it's Margot Robbie. Like she's obviously one of the best around. Lady Gaga's a good actress, but Margot Robbie is just like top tier.
I mean, I think she played a good Harley. I just feel like they did not give her character a lot to do. She was really just like, by definition, a legit supporting character for Joker.
And she feels like a figment of his imagination the entire time. Like none of it feels real.
I thought she was a part of one scandal in the movie, but she was not. And I was like, oh, okay. That, thing kind of just happens. And then, their relationship kind of just fizzles out. And it's like, why was she here? Like, what was her purpose in this film? Instead of just saying, oh, well, I really just want Harley Quinn to be in this movie. So it's like a Harley Quinn and Joker movie. And like you said, Folie Deux means madness of two. There wasn't a lot of madness going on. Like, because when Harley Quinn and Joker get together, it's crazy. Like, they are inseparable. They are a legit dynamic duo when it comes to villains. And just speaking on their relationship, where it is the most toxic relationship in the world. And I felt like there wasn't toxicity here. There was sparks of a potential relationship that could have formed between them, because it starts off in a random place and then it's like, okay, their relationship kind of progresses and then it just fizzles out and then that's it. So I don't know who this movie is for. I know that you sent me a tweet from I'm not sure who this person is in general, but apparently, don't quote us on this, but apparently this movie did not get tested. Like they didn't have like audience testing. I'm not sure how true that is because I know most movies do, but then again, Batgirl got tested and then that got shelved. Coyote
tested well. Yeah.
Tested well. Batgirl tested well. So did It Chapter 1, by the way. Well, no, it didn't get it got tested, but it didn't get tested well, but they still released that movie. Coyote versus Acme, apparently it tested well and got shelved by Warner Brothers alongside Batgirl and Scooby-Doo Holiday Haunt. I think that's the one I'm the most annoyed about because that movie, much like Batgirl and Coyote versus Acme, were like 95% done. And then just boom, like they just got shelved. We'll never see them the live day. But if this is true, like we said, take it with a grain of salt. Apparently this movie was not tested. I feel like there was a little bit too much creative freedom here in this film, where creative freedom I'm all for, but I feel like too much of it. It's just as bad as creative restriction when it comes from studio interference. So I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like they should have done some testing on this one because of the bad like audience scores we're getting. Like, I don't think any of the audiences really like it. If you look at the cinema score, it actually is sitting at a D, which is insane to be that low. I think it's even lower than the Madam Web was.
It is. Madam Web is got a C plus, but cinema score is weird because it's like anything below like, I think it's like a B plus or like an A minus is technically considered bad, which I don't agree with, but that's just how they roll with things. But
yeah, because they're expecting it to be like high scores because it's people seeing the movie like on release night, so they're expecting those to be fans already.
Right. Yeah. Because I saw this, and by the way, I want to talk about this for a second because we kind of mentioned this. How much was your ticket for Joker 2? Like when you went to go see it Thursday?
$13 for the normal screening. I was considering going to XD, but I just did normal because I didn't feel like this was going to be much action, and there wasn't.
Yeah, so I thought about seeing this in IMAX, and I didn't. I was like, I'm not going to see it in IMAX. If I like it enough, I'll go see it again in IMAX. So standard screening, mind you, here in Music City, USA. $19.99 for a standard ticket.
That just does not make sense. What time?
It was at 5:40.
I mean, that's like almost matinee time too.
Yeah,
I guess
like
anything before 5 could be considered matinee, but it's close.
It's strange because, and I don't know if this is like a weird thing where it's like they jack up the prices on Thursday night previews. At least, Ohio versus Tennessee. But, and I double checked. I was like, this isn't like $20. That's an IMAX price. And I was double checking. I was asking the lady, I asked her, I was like, is this the right price for
what theater chain was it?
It was Regal.
Yeah, I feel like Regal might be the most expensive because I was looking at, because they had the IMAX like fan event. It was this Monday for Joker 2. And I was looking at those, and those were like $25, like even more than that for the IMAX. I think Regal might just be more expensive.
I think so, and I might have to stop going to Regal for that. I might have to start going back to AMC. We make movies better. I hope so, because those prices, I was just flabbergasted. I was like, there's no way that this is $20. Like I said, I thought that I accidentally clicked on the IMAX screening because there was one around the same time, and nope, it was a standard screening, and I was like, wow. And the same thing happened with Borderlands. That was around like $18. I was like, this is so weird. I don't know what's going on. Depending on where you live, obviously, ticket prices are going to be different. But $20 for a standard ticket, just be on the lookout. Go to a theater you don't usually go to if you really want to see this type of movie or this movie in general. We did not get a early screening for it here. So, sometimes you just got to bite the bullet, which is whatever. But man, this movie, it was a mixed bag for me. But let's get into our final thoughts and ratings. I was going to get into trivia, but we've been talking here for a while. And yeah, there just isn't... There's not a lot of trivia. I mean, outside of this film's release will mark the 5th anniversary of the first Joker film.
It actually came out like the exact day, 5 years.
Yeah. And this is actually Joaquin Phoenix's first sequel in his entire career.
Yeah, he's not much of a franchise guy, that's for sure.
No, not at all. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic, so it's kind of like, yeah, because he was in Brother Bear 1. I don't know if he was in Brother Bear 2. I don't think he was. No, if that's apparently that's the trivia. But yeah, there's there's not a lot of, I mean, there's trivia facts here, but it's like, I would care more if the movie was actually good. There is one trivia. There actually is an industry trivia. Harry Lottie and Ken Leung share a scene in the film and also co-star in HBO's show Industry, which we already talked about. But that's like on the bottom. That's like the last trivia fact. I think that should be at the top. To be honest. But yeah, as you had mentioned, I will talk a little bit. There's one trivia fact here that I think is pretty interesting. So the working title was Folie, Deux, which we already talked about, which means Madness of Two in French. This initially led to speculation about Harley Quinn's appearance in the film, which was shortly thereafter confirmed. The name Folie à Deux comes from the 19th century French psychiatrist Charles Légus and Jules Farlet, also known as Légus-Farlet syndrome, and depicts two or more people that share the same madness or delusion. And she definitely does. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, she like she steals a TV like on the street. Like she really just kind of does what she wants, and that part was a little confusing as well. Yeah, but let's get into our final thoughts and ratings here. Devin, what are your final thoughts and ratings for Joker 2?
Yeah, final thoughts. Definitely feels like an unnecessary sequel. And I think everyone, for the most part, can agree that it's just not a needed sequel. And then it feels like they were kind of forced, their hands were forced to make this based on the success of the first one. And I don't really think they had a plan going into it, but I think they just kind of rolled with it. And I think the end product just doesn't really come off very well. Like I said, I think the story was pretty dull. And I think the ending is going to make more people mad than it's going to do more bad than good at the end. Because it's just the ending really just kind of undoes the first movie and also possibly does more damage based on what comes out. Because I'm not sure it's been confirmed or not what that ending was, but I guess we'll find out soon here, hopefully. But as far as the overall movie, obviously Joaquin Phoenix is great as Arthur Fleck. I don't know if we can call him Joker anymore. He might just have to stick with Arthur Fleck on this one. And then Lady Gaga as Lee. They do their best, but I just don't think they had much to work with here as far as the writing and the story goes. I think the musical elements just fall really flat, especially towards the end. There's one where Arthur is singing in the phone to Harley, and it just goes on forever. And it does. It was painful at times to watch and listen to. And I just was kind of waiting for it to end, which is never a good sign for a movie. So as far as the score goes, I'll probably give it like, it's pretty rough. I mean, I'd probably give it like a 40 overall. Like, it just didn't do it for me.
I've been going back and forth with this film of where I was going to place it, and I think a 55. Let's just go with a 50 out of 100. I feel like it's middling of the road. It's mixed. I don't hate it, but I don't love it at the same time. I don't hate it as much as other people, but I think I agree. It is an unnecessary sequel. And it sucks because you see the potential there for this film where, like I said, they could have just leaned into it. Like, yeah, we're doing a Harley Quinn and Joker type musical where Harley could have had could have had more screen time, and they should have just done more with her character overall. Like, and that could have like led into like a Joker 3, and then like if they wanted to, or even if Todd Phillips is like, hey, let's keep it 2 movies, because like you said, it doesn't seem like there's a plan for this at all. And I'm not going to say that they got lucky with the first one, because the first one is a very, very good film, but this one, I don't even know who it's for. I don't know why this script just, blindly just went through, down the paper trail. They're like, yeah, like we're going to do this. Joaquin Phoenix losing weight again to play Joker. That's no easy task. So, I don't want to discredit his contribution. It's just the direction. I think the direction of this film is its biggest weakness, and that there was too much creative freedom, and there should have been some studio notes. As much as we advocate for creative freedom, but we saw Rebel Moon, or at least I saw Rebel Moon.
I still never finished it.
Don't bother. But I probably have to go the 50 out of 100 on this, and it just sucks. I really wanted to like this movie because the trailer was great. I was like, oh man, we're gonna have like a Harley Quinn and Joker situation, but every scene that they're in, like singing and dancing, that's all fantasy. None of that's real. Outside of maybe one scene, but that's still a little blurry altogether. But I think they kind of confirmed that what they were trying to do actually happened. So, yeah, I don't know, man. You hate to see it, but, we live to see another day.
And also, I've been seeing people blaming James Gunn for this. No, this was not his doing. This was in production and in the works way before he took over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 1,000%. And also, the DC logo, or even the quote unquote, it's the new DC logo, but it's really an old DC logo that they're pegging as new, with like the stars, like the circular, because that was like their original logo. Yeah, that's not here at all. I think it just says
based on DC characters.
Yeah, based on characters from DC. Yeah, so
we also didn't mention the that animated intro. That was interesting, I guess. I don't know. It was kind of strange.
Oh yeah, I actually kind of liked how they opened up with that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I totally forgot about that, and I thought that was like an animated short that was happening before the movie, because this movie does not just open up with like a classic, Warner Brothers logo or whatever, but it kind of just does its thing. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. So Devin, you gave this a 40 out of 100?
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 50, so we're just going to go 45 out of 100 for the median score, for the official podcast score between Devin and I's score. So 45 out of 100. I think this is not the lowest we've done.
It's down there, that's for sure.
It's down there. Because we did Madam Web. Oh my God. Oh my God. What is and we still have 2 Sony comic book movies to get through this year.
Venom, baby. Come on up. Couple more weeks. I'm actually kind of excited for that. I don't know.
Are you excited that it's the last one? Is that why you're excited?
Venom at least doesn't take itself seriously.
That's true. That's very true. It is very campy, and I love how campy it is. But it's very apparent what Sony's trying to do, because they do have to make a new Spider-Man movie. I think it's every 2 to 3 years in order to keep these Spider-Man film rights for Sony Pictures. So they're like, hey, let's just make a bunch of Spider-Man related villain movies, and we don't have to worry about putting Spider-Man in. And I hate how they're doing that loophole, because we have Venom and Kraven coming out this year. Or did Kraven get pushed back?
I'm not sure.
Remember. I think it is coming out this year.
I'm pretty sure it is. A lot for 1 year.
That is a lot. That's a lot, man. Oof. I don't know. It's it is what it is.
It's like Kraven's supposed to be coming out in December. I mean, that's crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
Because wasn't Madam Web January?
I think
or February.
Or February, something. Yeah, I think it came out Valentine's Day.
So that's 3 in a year. That's crazy.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy to think back like what we've like covered, just movies we've actually seen.
More Sony movies, more Sony Universe movies than MCU movies in a year. Who'd ever thought?
I know. Yeah, we only got one Marvel movie this year, Deadpool and Wolverine. So, and then we get 2 Marvel movies next year.
Oh yeah,
at least 2. Yeah, with Captain Falcon, or Captain America.
Yeah, put respect on his name.
Yeah. Let's say Captain Falcon. I'm not wrong. I just want to let you know.
Technically.
I'm not wrong. Yeah, between that and Thunderbolts asterisk altogether. But yeah, so 45 out of 100 is going to be our official podcast score between Devin and I scores. And with all that said, that does conclude today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard on today's episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your preferred podcast platform of choice, and make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, all that social media garbage. And don't forget to share an episode of our podcast with a fellow movie lover, whether it be your mother, your brother, or your significant other. Spread the love for the Film Optix podcast. And now let's take a sneak peek at what's coming up next on the show as far as upcoming releases. We're going to be covering films such as, we already mentioned, Venom, The Last Dance, Smile 2, The Heretic. Oh my gosh. We Live in Time. Very excited for that. I'm ready to just bawl my eyes out because I know that's just going to make me sad. A24 has been actually really consistent with their films this year. And what else? What else comes out next? Is Smile
Saturday nights next week?
Saturday. Yeah. We definitely have to cover Saturday night. I am very excited for that. I was supposed to actually go see it a few weeks ago during the Nashville Film Festival, but I was not able to go, unfortunately. I was very disappointed. I was like, oh man, it sucks that I missed that one. But we're going to definitely be covering that one because I'm very excited. Are we doing Salem's Lot? Salem's Lot, Caddo Lake? Or are you just...
They're under our belt.
I don't know what your thoughts are. Did you watch Caddo Lake?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I was like, I don't know why they're pegging that as like a horror movie though, because it's not horror. I wouldn't even say it's thriller. I think it's just like a suspense kind of film. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It was interesting. Didn't love it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And we've also seen Mild Ass and Never Let Go. So we definitely have some.
Mild Ass was a great one.
I was crying. Sorry. Oh my gosh. That was, that was great. But those are just a few review releases. Naturally, as much as we would love to get through all of those movies, we're definitely going to have to pick and choose what we cover because
we have to do like one episode, 5 minutes covering each. That's all we get.
We could do like a speed round thing or like a rapid fire review for like some of the streaming movies or just I think you're onto something. I definitely I do it with our home entertainment, like our Blu-ray reviews. I'll do like 3 or 4 at once. But anyway, as far as new review releases that you can look forward to, or actually that you can listen to right now, you can listen to our Wild Robot review as well as our Penguin Episode 1 review, our breakdown for that. We are going to be covering the season in full as after the series finale for the Penguin. Same thing with Agatha All Along. You can listen to our Episode 1 and 2 breakdown of that series, and we're also going to be covering that series in full once that's finished. And check out our Transformers 1 review, putting a new spin on the franchise. Absolutely love it. And with all that said, thank you all for listening. If you enjoy the show, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and connect with us by following us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, all that social media garbage for the latest updates. That was Devin, and I'm Christian signing off. And remember, life is like a movie, so go out there and make it a blockbuster.
Peace.